Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll begin with whoever's here right now. And for those who join later, they can always go back to the recording to check up the few minutes they missed in the beginning. So if you have the 2 pages, the first page we entered last time, steps 1 through 4. Today, we're going to go through steps 5 through 9. But first, I'm going to quickly run through steps 1 through 4. So again, right now we have a company open. That should be We Do It All. That's all it's necessary to know for now. The fact that it's general service based in an LLC, that won't affect us at this point in the QuickBooks file. We deposited $500 in Chase Bank. Now, I did not give you the shortcut for this, for how to open the bank, but from the homepage, if you go Control-R will bring you up a register. Use register. I'm going to select Chase. There are many, again, like I said last time, every single many accounts in the fixed accounts, whether it's a bank, whether it's a liability, whether it's equity, since it's permanent accounts, they run a register. Chase is the first one. I'm going to go back into Chase and we'll see here, we have here the $500 in the bank. If you entered it as opening balance equity, it would show up as a transfer. That's what it shows over here. If we entered it a different way, just as a regular deposit, that would be fine for this purpose as well. Then we enter the transactions. So in order to create in the service business revenue, you have to have something that you're charging for. We set up HK, BK, WD, and GC, which stands for housekeeping, bookkeeping, web design, and general consulting. That we did first. We gave them all their prices, and ranging from $20 to $100 per hour, per unit, however you would refer to it. And then we made invoices for 4 different people. Now, I'm going to go to the customer center. It's, again, menu, customer center, and customers, and then the first thing on the menu that drops down is customer center. We have 4 people here. We have Amoni, which is number 4 on the list. We have Cohen, which was 3 on the list. We have Cook, which is 2 on the list, and Yankel, which is 1 on the list on the handout. Anyway, if we go now, we're holding by Chaim Yankel. So we'll start from reverse order because this is how we're going through the list. You'll see an invoice for $225. That's what the invoice should be for him. Why is it $225? Because if you double click on it, you'll be able to see that we charged him for 3 units of WD, as we said. And QuickBooks does a calculation for us if you entered it properly in the item list. And what would happen if by mistake I had entered in the number 4? And or instead of WD, I had put in one of the other items. So this would be the time to edit your invoice. You're going to reference your paper. If your item is, if you had, for example, 4 over here, all you got to do is go over it, press 3. If your item said something else over here, it said, say BK, what have you, you just go back and you'll just write over WD. So by reopening the invoice gives you a chance to edit it. If you did make a change and you would try to save it, and it will tell you, you would save and close it, and that it would even ask you a question if you want to change the invoice. This question is only because some payments were applied to it, but for the purpose of the invoice, it doesn't make a difference. Anyway, I am not going to save any changes, but this is what you would do if you had to make a change. Even though I didn't change anything, I just put it back the way it was. Next invoice was Mrs. Cook. She was, we see an invoice for $140, just a cross reference. We'll go back into it. We see here 7, that's a quantity for Mrs. Cook. It's HK, and the rest is calculated by QuickBooks if you had put in the proper amount for HK, which is $20, as we see in the item in step 1, we put in HK as $20. We're going to close this one. And we'll go to Rabbi Cohen. Rabbi Cohen, we said, is 5 hours of GC and 2 hours. So again, we have HK for 5 hours, GC 2 hours, WD 4 hours. Let's see if it was entered properly. Right now, It's your walkthrough. If you had made an error last time, now is a chance to correct it. Again, we have a 5 HK, or as I wrote, HK equals 5. You have GC equals 2, that's over here. You have WD equals 4. And QuickBooks would have done the total for you, 100, 200, 300, with the total on the bottom of the invoice is 600. It shows already the payment applied to 400, but we'll skip the step for now. The point is, I want to make sure you have your invoices for the customers correct. And finally, the fourth invoice will be for Yankel. And for Ploni Almoni, we're going reverse. Ploni Almoni, and he had BK 9 hours, GC 4 hours, they have BK 9 and GC 4. And QuickBooks calculates whatever it needs to do. Based on this, we went and we received payments. I'm not going to even open the payments. You'll just see, again, we did first time Yankel. And you'll see underneath, you see a payment over here. It shows up, check 102. Here's the check number. That's where it shows it. And you have over here the 150. That's what you see. So in this window, it's not showing you what the running balance is. That's what you see over here on the left side in the window. In this window, you see the running balance of, second. A moment to make sure this is loud enough. I believe people can hear me. So in the left window over here in the customer center, this shows you the running balance of Chaim Yankel. His balance is $75. And why is it $75? Because he made a payment of $150 on his invoice of $225. Okay. Mrs. Cook, her balance equals her invoice. The invoice is $140, and its running balance is $140. This is where you'll see this over here. I will show you in step number 9, we'll do reports. Step number 8 and 9, I will show you how you make reports. But right now I am showing this within the context of the customer and vendor center windows. As I oftentimes say, there are many ways to do things in QuickBooks. We can do this several different ways, and most of them will be usually the same, will get you to the same results. Sometimes you can make errors, and that's why we have to be careful, especially when we make the general entries, which we will do later tonight. Rabbi Cohen paid $400. That shows up over here. He had an invoice of $600. He had to pay $400. His running balance here is $200. And last but not least, you have Ploni Almoni, who paid in full. That's why he has zero balance. Now, in this context, you only see customer by customer what their balance is, 200, 140, and 75. We do not know what the total outstanding collectibles of the company is, which is precisely the reason why we will be making reports to see what is the running balance of the company. And when you double click in the report, you'll be able to go down to each customer and see how we came to that total. Now I'm going to go over the invoices we made, or the bills we entered for vendor transactions. So you go to vendor on the top, here's the menu. You go to vendor center. That's the first thing that drops down. And I believe, yeah, first thing that drops down, we'll go to vendor center. Here already we see more accounts. We see here, we bought from Amazon, we bought from, we advertise in Ami Magazine, we have Conedison, National Grid, Nest Paper, Office Depot, Office Rentals, and Staples. These are all the running balances. And these should equal the invoice because we did not make any payments last time. So just to run through, in step 4, sub number 1, we have Nest Paper is 177. You can see over here, Nest Paper equals 177. We have Con Edison for 328. That shows up over here. We have National Grid for 126. That's right underneath it. And then we have the copy machine from Home Depot, Office Depot, $1,200. We see that over here. And they're active vendors. One day when you finish doing business with someone or that vendor closes down and you feel your screen here is too cluttered, you can always right click and make a vendor inactive or a customer inactive. But we'll get to that in a different place. Right now we have office rentals. Okay, we're skipping over. So we have Office Depot is 1,200. Amazon is 500. Going down the list, we have Staples for 379. That's in alphabetical order at the bottom. We have Omni Magazine for 250. And we have rent from office rentals for 1,500. It believes right now, if you had any errors, you would do the same thing in the bill as you would done by the invoice for the customer. You'll double click on the bill and you would correct whatever amount had to be. Just a matter of highlighting it and rewriting the correct number. At this point, this is the recap of last class. We went through the invoices, make sure everyone had the right invoices in, the right payments amount for that we received, and the bills that we entered from the vendors. Now, the proper way to pay a vendor is not by writing a check, but it's by paying bills or paying the vendors. Again, this is when we have an invoice. When you have an invoice, you got to make sure the payment goes to the invoice. How do we do that? We will go to Vendor Center again, which we're really in the Vendor Center, but now instead of going to the general Vendor Center, which will bring us to the frame which we're in now, we will go down to, we skipped over Enter Bills that we did last time, and we go to Pay Bills. When you go to Pay Bills, like I just showed you, you will have all your bills sitting over here summarized. You see in the bottom over here, it gives you total. Our total outstanding invoices that need to be paid, our total outstanding bills we have to pay to our vendors are $4,460. And we are going to make some of the payments, not all of the payments. And this is the reason why I'm specifically doing this is when we make the reports, you will see a variety of customers and vendors, some paid off, some not paid off. This will help you understand how the reports work. And again, in the cash basis or accrual basis, that will make a world of a difference. What was your income and what were your expenses for the year? So we are paying only 4 bills today. We're paying Ness by check. We don't say what we're paying. So we're paying the whole amount. Let's find Ness over here. There's number 1. And we're just going to click the box. By clicking the box by default, you'll see all the way to the right. You have here the due date, the amount due is 177. No discounts are applied yet to the bill. That we're going to discounts and credits in a different class. Right now we're building our way up, getting the foundation in QuickBooks. And you have here the amount to pay 177. If you did not want to pay the whole amount, you just go over here and write, I only want to pay 147, and so be it. And then I would end up having $30 left over unpaid. But when you click on the box, it assumes you want to pay the whole invoice. And why keep an open invoice just for $30? That doesn't make sense. And we're going to pay this bill. You could pay right over here, pay selected bill. And if you notice, we have over here I'm going to zero on the bottom line. The date is 5/18. That's today. That's the day we're paying the bill. If I had multiple checking accounts, here I'll go to method. I can pay by check or credit card. We don't have a credit card yet. We're going to have a credit card in step 2 and 3. But right now we have a check, and you can either print the check or assign a check number. For right now, we're going to assign a check number, and the bank account that we're using is Chase. So again, the method check will be over here selected. If you have multiple accounts, you would select your account over here. Same thing will be with a credit card. If I had chosen credit card, right now it's telling me in order to make a credit card, you have to have a credit card. We know that. But if I had a credit card or multiple credit cards, then I'll go to account and select which credit card I want to do. Now, back to the check. If you recall, we only have $500 in the bank. That's what we put in. QuickBooks is alerting us to the fact that after paying this bill, we're only going to have $323 left. This is how we avoid making overpayments or overdraft on our account and bouncing checks. This is why I told you before, do not make a deposit in your QuickBooks account before it hits the bank, because QuickBooks will think you have the money, but really you don't. QuickBooks will say, sure, write out checks, but the deposits never made it to the bank yet. So what we have to do is we have to first make the bank deposit. And now here we'll make the Chase deposit, a check. I'm going to just pay, select the bills. And because I set a signed check number, it's going to ask me what check number they want to use. Here, I'm going to choose check number 1001. Right? So once you have a check, 1001, you could go to QuickBooks assign check numbers, and it will automatically increase the number by 1. The next time we're going to do a check, QuickBooks will note to start from check 1002. Since this is our first check, we have to assign a check number. Otherwise, QuickBooks wouldn't know where to begin. So I paid the bill. Now it's going to ask me, do I want to pay more bills or not? And I'm going to say I'm paying more bills because we have 3 more bills to pay today. We have to pay Office Depot. Office Depot has a bill of $1,200. I'm going to click on this thing over here. And as the window says, we want to pay $1,200 to Office Depot. But we are going to be overdrafted by $877. We don't have that amount in our bank to pay. So our good friend Shimon over here says giving us a credit card. So we're going to go now and we're going to put in a credit card. But the thing is, the way QuickBooks really works, credit cards belong to us. Credit cards are assets. If I click on credit card and I go yes, I'm going to set up my account type as a credit card. We have your banks, we have assets, accounts payable. Actually, credit card is a liability. Credit card is a liability because you have to pay it at the end of the month. Now, to differentiate my own credit card from Shimon's credit card, I'm going to give it a name called Shimon's credit card. So I'm going to type in here. And when after this transaction, I'm going to stop and give you a chance to do it. The only 2 new things we did today is we paid Nest by $177, and we're paying Shimon's credit card with Shimon's credit card, paying Office Depot. So Shimon's account name is Shimon, and it's a credit card, and I'm saving and closing. Now I have Shimon account. This is the account of the credit card, Shimon. Later on, I'm going to make another account, but right now we're going to leave it like this. And we're paying $1,200. And as everyone can see, credit cards don't give us overdraft balance. It just tells us that our balance will be the amount of the charge. We're charging $1,200 to Shimon's credit card, and that will be the ending balance. Pay selected bills. I will go over to the Q&A now if anyone has trouble doing these 2 steps. Again, it's pay Nest by going to vendors and drop down to pay bills. And you will click on the Nest, which doesn't exist here anymore because I already paid them off, but you will have them in your window. And after you pay the bill, you will choose any check number you'd like. Could be 1001, could be any check you want. And then you say pay more bills, and we'll go through the steps of adding credit card. You can do it as I did it, or you could do it as from chart of accounts. You recall, Control A is chart of accounts. Go to account new. Again, we do account new, and you pick a credit card right over here. Go continue, and you will be back to where I was before, where you enter in Shimon's credit card. I believe these steps are, most of you got them. I see some questions on Q&A. So good luck on doing those 2 steps. And if you have a question, add it to the list. Okay, there's a question here. If you messed up in a transaction, is there a way to delete it, or you could only zero it out? We discussed today that you can go into it and rewrite it. You can delete it as well, but I'm not going to do this step while you're entering those transactions. Okay, there's a question about going to previous screen. For now, do it the long way. Go to vendors on the top, go to customers. We'll discuss maybe shortcuts for other screens. I don't know the particular previous screen. I don't know of a shortcut, but I know how to get to different screens. within QuickBooks. Alternatively, you could just go to Window and go drop down. This is also a shortcut, by the way, incidentally, and it will take you to any of the screens that were open already, or more windows, any of the open windows. Okay, question. Someone's asking, how can you see what the payment was, check or credit? Are you asking about the customer making the payment? If you double click on the payment, it will show you what the payment was. Again, last time we only paid the vendors. Today we're doing, last time we only entered the expenses for the vendors, their bills, and today we are paying them. Rent from Office Depot, office rentals. Again, this is office rentals as part of the expenses. This is the name of the company, capitalized office and rentals. Regardless, it's in the section for entering bills. The bills were input then the last class. Where is this? I'm not sure what where is this is, so please clarify. Someone wants to pay with direct deposit. You probably mean by a wire. Direct deposit means a deposit in your bank, or you want to make a deposit in his bank with like a quick pay. Sure, you can do that there as well, but we're gonna get to that another time. Next bill was supposed to be paid in full, so I'm not sure what the question was from Mr. Rabin. You could clarify that question. Again, regarding shipment adding as an account, there were two ways to do this. While I was in the vendors paid bills, I selected to do payment on the bottom over here with a credit card. Since I did not have a credit card, QuickBooks prompted me to add a credit card, which I did. If you don't, I showed you the alternate way is to go Control A from chart of accounts, and I press new, and then I went to credit card. That's our liability. And then I press continue. And this is where we enter the name of the credit card. Here it's called Shipment Credit Card Today. Back to the Q&A list. If you already made the payment and you want to change the payment method, so you have to go to that vendor that you paid because that payment was made. You go to the vendor and you change it. So let's say, for example, go to Vendors Center, and I went to Nest Paper. His account is 0. I go to his payment of 177. I double click, and I say, you know what? Right now, actually, I click on the bill. I have to click on the check, bill payment check. You click on the check, and I say, I didn't want to pay from the bank account. Drop down here. So here you have, since it's already from it's at the register of the bank, what you'll probably have to do is go to edit, void the check or delete the check, and then his bill will come back into vendors as unpaid. If I would go right now, delete check, it's gonna say you just paid a bill. If you delete it, the bills will be unpaid. That's fine. You could delete the check, it's unpaid. And because it's unpaid, it will show up again in the window of vendors pay bills. Right now, if you go to vendors pay bills, Ness is not there. So I'll actually show this right now. Where was I? I was in vendor center. Gonna delete the check. And I'll say, okay, I'm gonna override the warning. So as you'll see now, because I deleted the check, Nest paper balance is back to 177. It's not zero anymore. We have a $177 invoice without a payment. So I go back to vendors, pay bills, and Nest is back here as unpaid. Now, the due date is 5/23 on all these because by default we had the bill 10 days after we entered them, and we put them in on the class of 5/13 on last Wednesday. So I'm just gonna go back and I'm gonna pay now, not from the credit card to Shimon. Well, again, this is what you would do actually. If you decided you wanted to pay Shimon also with a credit card, you would click on the credit card over here at the bottom, credit card Shimon. But we had elected to pay by check, and that's what we did. Okay. So pay bills, we paid Nest paper for this 323 left in the bank. We used check number 1001. And we paid more bills. We paid, I never cleared it out of my screen, so Office Depot still here. My credit card, from Shimon's credit card, $1,200. And I believe by now most of you should be already entered those two transactions. Okay, in answer to Ms. Hartman's question, double check by the customer, or maybe you already checked it already, by the vendor, if not paper was paid by check, probably by default, we'll use the last method. And since he started only with a Chase account, he probably paid it with a check. You know, over here, you don't have to put in the credit card number yet. When we had credit card popping up, that was to receive the credit card. And we're saving the customer information, how to charge his credit card. But the vendor, you do it over the phone. Okay, we're gonna get back to the subcategory. Zoom users asking the shortcut. Which shortcut are you looking for? If you pay the wrong bill, how do you avoid it? Well, if you remember which bill you paid, you go back to avoid it. You go to the proper vendor and you avoid the bill. If you paid a bill and you don't remember which vendor you paid, there are several ways to do it. There's a long way. It's just going through the transactions, going through every single person to see what was paid on today's date. Again, assuming that you used today's date. You might have used a different date and then you'll have a problem. So another way to do it is just to check the difference of liabilities from yesterday to today. And whatever went down, that's who you paid. Remind me when we're doing the report, so we'll show you how to look in the liability report. There's nothing wrong with paying Nest paper. We're supposed to pay Nest paper. That's for Simi at my computer. If you go to the vendor and you double click, it'll show you it was a check written out. If you go to Nest paper, quick, it shows here bill payment and check. Right here, bill payment check, right by type. This is where you'll see it. If it was paid with a credit card, as you paid Office Depot, what does it say here? Bill payment credit card. This answers, how do you know how you paid? If you double click, obviously you're gonna go into credit card, it'll show bill payment credit card. But you didn't have to even go there. You see that right in the little screen here by type, bill payment credit card. Next paper is bill payment check. Again, you want to open it up, it'll give you what a check looks like. Paid to the order of Nest paper, check number, date, as if it's a check with a mailing address. But again, these things we can see just in the window under the highlight called type. Okay, just confirming that everyone can see this mouse going on. Yeah, okay. Echo. Okay. Now, oh, someone paid 447. So then go back to Nest Paper, double click on the payment, and change the 147 to 177. Okay, in order to go to a new account, you go Control A, which is control of accounts. And in the bottom left corner, you'll see account, then you go Control N, or you click on it, it'll say new. Control N is the shortcut. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're going over to right now we're not dealing with customers, we're dealing with vendors. Okay, so I have two questions regarding entering credit card limit. The point is I'm not, we're gonna pay Amazon and Staples with credit card. The question is really immaterial right now because if you go to vendors and pay bills, now I'll click on Amazon and I'll click on Staples. My total payment will be $879. So it's not going to cause me a problem. I am within my $1,000 limit. We opened, it's a new company. A lot of times new company, we do it all. New companies have limited credit lines until they show that they're current in their accounts. In this case, we're going to pay Amazon and Staples. This is step number 3 in the payments. And we're paying the $500 from Amazon, the $379 from Staples. The total here is $879. But now credit card is not Shimon. Credit card is our company credit card. We can assume that this is a Visa card, a Visa or a Citi credit card. So I'm going to go add new. Okay, we have credit cards, so hit a shortcut, add new. If I was in Chase, if I was in check, add new will equal a bank account. Add new will equal a new method of check, which is in a bank account. Now I'm using a new method of credit card. So new method of credit card, it's going to be a screen, and I'm going to put in Citi. I have a Citi credit card. Here, you could do a sub account of another credit card. Let's say someone has 10 Citi cards. So he wants to just group them together. We have a bunch of Amexes, Citi cards, they're getting older. They have every type of reward available. So you go to account name Citi and you make a sub account. Well, first I have to add the account. So let's do this, save and close. Now Citi. I could go back and make a new one. And I could call Citi with the ending number, Citi 8098. And I say, this will be the sub account in Citi. So I have in general, I have Citi accounts. And Citi 8098 is a sub account of Citi. Let's just leave, we'll do this now. So I have Citi, and automatically you see it put the colon here. So what it really does is what I did in shorthand, I put Citi, I had a colon, I put Citi 8098. So I'm using Citi card ending 8098, and I'm going to press pay. And voila, or actually voila, it's done. And we're down to 4 more people. Con Edison, National Grid, AMI, and Office Rental. Who did we pay? We're paying a rent with a personal check. Our rent is $1,500. Oh boy. How are we going to pay our rent with a check? I go down to check. Okay, you saw what I did, right? I clicked on Office Rentals and I go into check. I'm going to be overdrawn $1,177. Okay, so right now, for purpose of the screen, I'm going to put this on hold. And I'm going to go, if you recall, we received money from our clients before. Remember, we received from our invoices. I'm going to go now banking, make deposits. This is what I told you right now, that we didn't, the money is not in the bank yet. We just received from the customers. Now we have here, look, we have a check 1,002 that we could deposit in the bank from Yankel Cohen. We have the Visa credit card that Rabbi Cohen gave us $400. Ploni Almoni gave us $670. This is an error. If you recall, Ploni Almoni had to pay with check because we get cash because we don't know where he comes and where he goes. So I'm going to go out of here. This is I'm walking through how to correct an error. We go back to Customer Center, or you go to Window and drop down Customer Center. Go to Ploni Almoni, and it says here he paid his payment. I'm going to edit this payment, which is showing Visa, and I click on cash. This is just to make the record straight. The bank doesn't care so much. You change the transaction, you want to record. Yes, we want to record the transaction. Okay, so the only thing I did now, other than adding Citi card and paying $1,000, is I went back to Ploni Almoni to change his payment from credit card to cash. Okay, didn't change it. His account balance is still the same. When I go back to my make deposits window, it's blank. Everything disappeared. That's what happens. You start a deposit in the middle, and you don't finalize deposit. The window goes blank. So you just exit out, and you start again. Banking, make deposits. The names will show up here. This time you'll see check, cash from Ploni Almoni, check from Yankel, and Visa. We're going to deposit everything. Okay, we're going to deposit $1,220. Okay. We're going to use the deposit date of today is 5/18. Total deposits, $1,220. Save and close. Okay, this I see this wasn't actually on the list, but now when I see it, I don't want to be overdraft. I had to make this deposit. So we're going to add it to the steps for a future class. Save and close. We made a deposit. If I go back to my window of pay bills, again, window, drop down pay bill window, that's open. All of a sudden, I could make the check. This check of $1,500 is not going to be in the overdraft. I will be ending with $43, but $43 is a positive number. And that is what we need. We need to be positive. So we had $323 before. We added $1,220. It's $1,543. And by taking off the $1,500, I'm up to $43. This is perfect. The date I'm going to change to 5/19, just to give a date for my check to clear. And pay selected bills. We're holding check. Actually, okay, again, this is an oversight. I actually wrote on step number 4, pay with a personal check. The reason why I did personal check was because there was no money in the bank. Okay, so whoever did already the deposit, good for you. The deposit money in the bank, we'll leave it as I did it. Personal check would have raised the owner's equity. That was the original intention, but I don't make it confusing. Okay, we'll do check number 1,002. Okay, done. I'm going to pause here, and hopefully we'll be able to finish the last 2 payments. You can always add a check number by double clicking on the check and adding a check number. We're finishing off paying bills from vendors. Right now we finished step 5 and I'm answering questions on the whole step 5. And you don't, if you pay half the bill, how do you pay half the bill? By writing the amount you want to pay. QuickBooks keeps track of what you paid. It applies the payment amount to the bill, and then it leaves the rest unpaid. Just like the customers are left the customer balance unpaid. It shows it to you. Same thing will be with the bills. There's a way to put a credit limit on a credit card. We're not going to do that right now. Okay, 879 wasn't Staples. what I did was I highlighted two things at the same time. I clicked Staples and I clicked Amazon. Step two said, when you look at the credit card, I just made a combined payment. That answers that question. Okay. So let's say I went too fast. So I'm going through the questions by 8:40. The ones that posted 8:44. So I'm almost up current on the questions. You'll be able to tell me where you're stuck. If I really didn't go to the bank, how did I take it away? I was just by the ATM. The deposits before 9 p.m. or 11 p.m. is the same day. Again, how do we make a deposit? Okay, again, this wasn't supposed to, this was out of sequence. I started making a deposit in order to cover, I forgot that I specifically wrote personal check, not to do deposit, but the way to do deposit, go banking, click on the top by banking, and not by write checks, which is taking out money, but the next section, which is make deposits, which deposits money. If you go into make deposits, that would be whatever you received payments and then deposit. We already deposited everything, so there. So I showed you an extra step. I showed you making a deposit. Again, sorry if I confused you on that. Deposits do not get messed up if you change the payment type, as long as the balance is equal to the same. When I set payment to the 19th, that means the check will say 19th, correct. I showed how to deposit. If you mistakenly pay with Shimon's credit card instead of Citi's, so go to the payment. The payment was Amazon and Staples. So you'll have to go to Amazon and Staples. You go to Vendor Center. You go to Amazon, which is payment credit card. You double click on it. And you will see here that it's Citi card. But you would show Shimon's. Right now it's showing Shimon's. So what you would do is you would reselect the one that it has to be, which is Citi ending in 8098, or Citi plain is good enough also. Okay, I'm reverting, I'm not changing anything here. You would have to do that twice. You have to do it for Amazon and for Staples because we paid it in one shot. Okay. I explained already that if you started making a deposit like I did and you didn't finish it, you have to X that out and go make deposits again. Then the received payments will show up. Top right corner of a check. This QuickBooks mimics a regular check. Maybe you have a check. Where does the date go? Top right corner. How to pay with a company credit card. To pay with a company credit card, that's how we added Citi cards. Yeah, Ms. Hecht, you're right. It is officer that's supposed to be paid with personal check. I had accidentally made the deposits first. I made that payment, but we're going to rectify that shortly. And so, why did I go? I didn't go to ports. I went to banking and I went to Windows. Windows is a shortcut to see all the open windows, like vendor center, customer center, chart of accounts, and everything that's open I have in the window. That's another quick way of getting to where you want to go to. Okay. Okay, MSK, I missed the step of how you made the personal check. You made it under Chase, I had to click add new. The answer is the way I did it so far is I made it under Chase, but in order to not be overdrawn, I made the deposits of all the payments I received. So that's a modified version of step four from step 5. How do I edit Pony's deposits? So I went to customer center. Again, go to customer center. I went to Plony. I clicked on its payment type by payment, and I changed it from where it was previously Visa. I changed it to cash. That's what we did tonight. Okay, so I'm going to take the next step so it drops slower. By deposit funds, where do I find the payments? The payments should, if you receive the payments and never went to the bank, it should be there. You go banking, make deposits, and all the undeposited funds will come up on your screen. On my screen, nothing's going to come up because I already deposited it. It's possible you'll get such a screen anyway because you started making a deposit and you press cancel. In that case, you would make an X, you would get out of that screen, and go back again, try a retry, and then it should show up by you. How do I pay the... Again, I explained why it's undeposited. When I get money from someone, it's in my pocket, it's in my drawer, it's not deposited. It's not in the bank deposit because by me, and QuickBooks doesn't have it. So when you go from it's undeposited, means it's not in the bank. When you go QuickBooks and you make a deposit, you are saying it is in the bank. And if it is in the bank, QuickBooks will think you have enough money. And that's why I keep on saying deposit in the bank first before you put it in QuickBooks. Okay. If someone's still not finding the deposit, will have to be by quick Q&A by the end of class, about the 10:45 at 10 to 10, we'll Q&A, maybe we'll be able to do a walkthrough on that. One more time for to edit the credit card payment. This is the Schreiber. You go to vendors and vendor center. In this case, you either go to Amazon or Staples. So you go into Staples, you go into bill payment credit cards, and you double click on it. And then you choose the appropriate credit card in the drop-down menu. Right now, if you were previously in Shimon, go to city. If you aren't in the city, stay in city. There's no reason to leave. And whatever you do here by Staples, you'll do the same thing by Amazon. You'll double click on Amazon and make the same thing. Okay, that was done. Again, Amazon is only you cannot pay a bill more than it is unless you manually enter a larger number. You can manually write a larger number. If all you did by by pay bills is click on a tab. So if Connecticut is 328, it's not going to show 338 or even 329. You can edit it and press 329, in which case you can have a $1 overpayment and it'll be saved as a credit. But just by clicking on it, it's only going to show the amount there. The reason why it shows 879 is because you clicked on both. You clicked on Amazon and on Staples together. Okay. QuickBooks is a machine that does what you tell it to do. QuickBooks doesn't make payments automatically. Automatic payments is what you would do on your bank. You could set up automatic payments to go out. QuickBooks, you have to bring it in. You can set up, for example, a payment schedule, say payroll, weekly, bi-weekly, or as an employee. You're setting the schedule, but you will have to issue the checks manually. No one would really want to forget and have checks flying out of the bank because you told QuickBooks to do so. In the window drop down, it says refresh needed. You just click OK. There's a screen that says refresh needed. If you click on refresh needed, a little screen will tell you, yeah, OK. You'll press OK. Okay. Yes, I will demonstrate later in step 6. You will see how QuickBooks adds a check number. Not a problem. Amazon, 2 credits, 500, more than 500. Yes, Amazon's 500 only. Staples is 379 only. But if I paid bills, I don't have to pay one and then the other. I could click multiples, that's what I did. $518 and $519 doesn't make a difference for now. If it's not letting you have the city card, most likely you have to choose credit card first. If you're in chart of accounts, create new, you have to highlight credit card. And then you click continue, and then you can add the city card. Okay. This is for Irina. According to the handout, I didn't say we make a deposit. I had done that. I said it several times. That was a deviation from the handout. The total deposit should be, I believe, $1,220. If it wasn't $1,220, then the payments received are off a little bit. We went through in the beginning of the class what the payment received amount was, so deposits should have been automatic. Hopefully you saw it then. No, the payers have done their obligation. This is for Rachel. The payer's obligation is done once you receive their money, so you don't have to write it as a deposit. It's not necessary. Their balances will change as soon as you receive payment. When you deposit it, then your QuickBooks or your bank account will reflect the money's in the bank. Yes, QuickBooks will let you write checks as many as you want. If you have a secretary who comes in once a week and you wanted to do all the entry and write out all the checks, but you have a big deposit coming tomorrow, no problem. You can do whatever you want in QuickBooks. Just don't give out those checks. You'll make that deposit and you'll cover the checks. You can make 20 entries that will get you overdrawn $3,000 by putting a $25,000 deposit tomorrow. And you want your secretary to fill up her time. She can do all data entry. She could write the checks dated today, or she could post date it for 2 days from now. Doesn't make a difference. If she posts the checks 2 days from now, initially QuickBooks will show red that you're overdrawn. But once you put in the deposit on today's date or tomorrow's date, then it's going to change everything back to being in the clear, in the black. Right now, we're not dealing with credit card numbers. It's enough to say we have a credit card and you press cancel, and that's enough. No, we would love to pay our rent with credit cards, but rents is a high number, is a large number, which there's a lot of service fees and credit card processing fees. So yes, we paid office rentals $1,500. That's correct. Farina, Cheryl's asking, how do we make deposit? It says undeposited amount. So I'm not sure what the question is. If you went to banking, make deposits, I could delete my deposit and start again, but you should have your deposits here as undeposited. You highlight those checks or everything. Let's see, let me go back into Chase and we'll go through this one more time. We have here the deposit of 1220. See, this was a deposit where I asked the question. I'm going to edit. I'm going to delete deposit. I could have also done the same thing if I would right click and I go delete deposit. Right click is a shortcut variation, okay? I deleted the deposit of 1220, no problem. Now you see I'm in the red. I paid off its rentals and now I am in the red. And that was the wrong thing to do. So I'm gonna go back and reverse that, go banking. Whoever wants to see how to make a deposit, look again, banking, make deposits. Banking, make deposits. And you'll see the 3 people here. And plenty money is a cash because we changed them. I could go one by one, and I might have 20 checks and click each one, or just go select all. Select all, and it's 1220. I press OK, and I'm depositing it. Now you see here, it's 519 because that's the last day QuickBooks knows of. So if you remember your shortcuts, press T. It's going to bring it back to 518, and I press close, and we have our deposits in the bank. Okay. I believe we finished step 5 and we're ready to go over to step 6. Okay, what's the between print checks and signed checks? Well, print checks is when you're going to print them and you put the papers in the machine. So you have to know which check numbers you're actually going to put in the machine in order to assign the check. The signed check numbers is in a case, for example, that you're going to print on blank paper. You can even print the check number, or you're going to do the entries in QuickBooks and then manually write them, or you want QuickBooks to do all the checks and you print them all out in a batch. And you at this point you don't care which check goes for who, as long as there's a check number, it'll print out. So how do we do step number 6? Okay, if you that's the Ms. Rutner, if you have nothing to deposit, it's because you already did deposit. I also have $43 in the bank after depositing and making my payments. So maybe this is a question some people have. They're not funding the deposit because they already made the deposit. Look again, you have in your register, you have the $500 from the opening equity and the 1220, and you see it shows automatically it's a deposit. Why does it show split? It shows split because it's multiple people who comprise this deposit. I double click on it. It'll show me who was in my deposit, Almoni and Cohen, but that's what split is for. Okay. You must have paid rent. That's the only way you got the $43. Double check. Okay, now, next shortcut, Control W. Control W is when you're within QuickBooks, you go Control W, it will bring you up write check. And by default, it's showing us into print. I don't want to be into print because I can either pay it online. You see in the center, you have the check of print later. But I'm really writing it. I'm just using QuickBooks because you know what happened? I'm without a printer. So I want to have the data in QuickBooks, but I don't have a printer. We're in our toner. Amazon's not delivering toner, and there's price gouging right now. So I'm just going to handwrite the checks and let QuickBooks assign checks numbers. As you can see, QuickBooks automatically put in over here check number 1003 after we use the first 2 because we let QuickBooks assign check numbers. The date is 5/18. And there's no invoice. I'm just paying to the order of Essence. Essence on Coney. And I press tab and quick add. That's all I'm going to do. Essence, and it's a vendor, obviously. I'm going to stop after each check. Essence is check 1003 and it's $76. QuickBooks does not yet know what we use Essence for. And I'm going to demonstrate to you later on, actually, in step 9, number 3, it was actually a mistake that copy and paste, but I could show you, use it out for today's benefit to show you how QuickBooks remembers accounts. So we're going to have here account meals. I tap M, and automatically it brings in meals. It assumes this is the things that have M in it. We have my accountant or maintenance or meals or members, and I just press tab, and the $76 is there, and I press save and new. Okay, I demonstrated how to write a check. Everyone could go and write this check, which put me over John, but that's also good. We're going to see how to correct that. For now, before I write the second check, let's see who has an issue, who can easily write this check. Again, Control W brings you up the check. QuickBooks selects the check number. All you got to do is put in the name, Essence. You got to put in the amount, $76. And you have to choose the account over here in the bottom menu for meals. Office rentals was paid with a check, whoever asked before. I saved Essence as a vendor. I checked, even though I didn't get an invoice, but it's still someone provides me a service. If it says to print, I showed you in the center, uncheck print later. It says here print later, uncheck it. That's what you should be doing. Uncheck print later. Okay. And that was done. That was cleared. If the memo's taking you whole screen, you probably have to go up to the window sizing of QuickBooks and click it. Maybe we'll minimize it and I'll resize it to fill the window. Maybe you slid the window to the side accidentally. So, like, right, and it's only taking part of the screen. I'm going to enlarge it again. But double check if that's your issue. Oh, okay, if it says numbered, again, if you come here and I had print later, let's say number to print. Uncheck print later in the icon bars. Okay, so we have the top menu. That's the ribbon on the top for the menu bar. And then we have the, what we call here, actually this is called the ribbon or the icons. You have icons of new, saved to create a copy. Go to print later and make sure that it's unchecked, and then you'll have a check number. I have a negative 33 because I only had $43 in the bank and they paid $76 to Essence. Check 103 is what it's supposed to be for Essence. By me, it's supposed to check 1004 because I prepared already the next check. That I set a new check for Super 13. So we have here a representative from Flatbush and from Borough Park. And the food business. If you save there's other, just leave it for now. Don't waste your time with changing the type of. As long as it's not a customer versus a vendor, you're good. If it's other versus a vendor, it's fine. And for Mr. Rabin, I don't see a screen right now. I could just guesstimate right now what's going on. You could try moving the whole window of QuickBooks, opening it, or minimizing it, and then starting or bringing it up to the bottom and starting again. I hope one of these things might help your situation, but right now, middle. That's the best I can do for middle of the class. Essence is a meals account. For those who don't know, Essence is a meals. Again, someone said, how would you know, can we see the checks ready to be printed? We are not printing checks, we are signing checks right now. In the future class, we'll do printing checks. That, when we go through the whole menu of what can be done in QuickBooks, with going through all the steps in each subdivision. We're not recording this bill. We're paying it directly because we didn't get an invoice. We walked into the restaurant and we picked up our order. You want to keep the receipt that you might want to keep, but why enter an invoice for if you already paid it? Can I show you how you did it? I'm not sure how you would show me. Okay. So we're gonna, when we do the reports, we're gonna go through each account one more time to make sure that the reports on my end match your end to see where you went and lost. Can you pay a bill online with QuickBooks? You can download transactions with QuickBooks. I don't know about paying QuickBooks from QuickBooks. QuickBooks is not your bank. QuickBooks could help you set up payroll, but they're not writing checks for you. When I wrote the check for Essence, I wrote save and new instead of save and close. In the bottom here, there's save and close and save and new. I clicked on save and new. Okay, so we're not going to enter sushi and soda for a vendor. That's what we're saying we got, but that should give you a clue that the account over here will be meals. How do another, because sushi and soda are some type of meal. So I'm going to put in Super 13, and I'm going to press tab, quick add the vendor, and I'm going to put in $44. Quick $44. And I'm going to press meals, press M, and save and close. We finished the checks for today. We are not writing checks today, right now. So I save and close. Now I'm overdrawn $77 because again, we have the two deposits totaling $500 and $1227.20. But we wrote out so many checks. We wrote last paper 177, we wrote Essence 76. We wrote out 44 Super 13, $1,500 to office rentals. Altogether, you should have negative 77. If you do not have, there's only 6 items going on in the bank account, 2 deposits, 4 checks, because 2 of the payments in step 5 were done by credit card, one mine, one someone else, and one of friends. So that doesn't affect our bank balance. So this is where you, for starters, you could cross-reference your bank, see what did I do wrong? Did I pay more to Nest? Did I pay less to Nest? Did I pay more to rentals? Is my deposit wrong? This is one way to cross-reference your entries until we get to the report stage. But right now, I want to make sure everyone finished step 6. Where would I be able to find a payment that I saved as other? Okay, general knowledge, you have to do another time. Right now, we're trying people to understand the steps we are doing right now. As long as you made the right amount of payment, it doesn't care if it's a vendor, who is the payee, a vendor or other. How do you get to the screen I'm on? I'm in the bank. I just clicked Windows Chase, or banking, use register, or Control R, pick Chase. Many ways to get there. How can I assign a check number now if I didn't do it automatically? You can just go in the register, and this is where you put the check number. Right in this place, in the date, this number. If it's blank number, you will put in the number over here. I'm not sure why Mr. Raven wants to go to General Journal. We're not holding General Journal right now. I'm not sure what whoever fire table it is, again, look at the Chase bank account. The only thing you have to know is look at the 6 numbers. Did you put in 500 at the bank? Did you deposit 1220? Did you make these 4 payments? QuickBooks is a calculator, and by automatically you have to get the negative 77. There's no, you must have one of these entries different, or you have an extra entry, or you're missing an entry. If you post exactly what entry is off, we can help you, but I can't go through every single one right now. What we are working on the second page of the handout, which is actually page 1 of tonight's handout. Page 1 was done last time, and we did the recap, and we started on page 2 today. Office rentals data is tomorrow because I didn't want them to cash the check today and make me overdrawn, because that's really the big ticket item that's gonna make you bounce. And what banks love to do is they like to process the big check first so they can bounce you 2 little ones. They'll bounce to 44 and they'll bounce to 76 because that's the way they like to do it, to make more money. Actually, the first bounce, yeah, anyway. So if you're missing the 1220, you got to check, why don't you have 1220? Is it 1200 like you wrote before, or you didn't receive the right payment amount? You have to go into the customers, double check the received payments. There were 4 payments received, double check the amounts. What does it mean when it says split and register next to the deposit? I explained before, it's when the deposit comes from multiple sources. We deposit 3 people's checks. It shows up a split. Mm. 44 is not a rental. 44 is meals. Again, it doesn't make a difference what's the order on the top over here. What makes a difference is the last step. The last step, after everything is said and done, you will end up with negative 77. Whether you had put the 500 as today, and then the 76 or the 44, all the debits in this case, which means negatives to your account payments, will offset your income by your deposits by $77 over. If you double click on a check, you'll get that check. You double click on a deposit, you get that deposit. So all the entries on payments are checks. You double check on Super 13, you're in a check. You double click on 1220, you are in a deposit. Again, you gotta know what's the left side, what's the right side. Left side are payments, the right sides are deposits. Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure who wants to see. Okay, anonymous attendee wants to know, why is Nest Paper and Office Rental showing up as accounts payable, and Essence and Super 13 showing up as meals and entertainment? And the answer is because when we entered the invoice from Nest Paper and Office Rentals, that was the time we chose the account, what the expense was. The expense was the debit expense was for office supplies and for rent. So at the time of creating the invoice, our debit was rent, right? The debit was rent. or office supplies, and our credit was accounts payable to Nest Paper or office rentals. Now, when we write a check, what we do is we credit the checking account and we debit accounts payable. So the checks you write to pay an invoice will show up as accounts payable. However, when you write a check directly to an expense, the credit is still the bank account, the debit is expense. So when you write checks directly, it's debit expense, credit check, credit bank. So that's why it shows here what the expense is. But when they're paying the bill, it's not going to debit an expense because that was done already when you made the bill. Now that you're paying the bill, you're debiting the accounts payable. And this you'll see when you do Control Y. When you do Control Y, you'll see on the 177, I'm debiting accounts payable and crediting Chase. The money always leaves the bank. The credit will always be Chase, but the debit is accounts payable. When I go to meals and when you go to Super 13, the debit is meals and entertainment, which is an expense. You see how the foundations that you learn of debits and credits will stand you in good stead, not only when you're trying to analyze the bank, but when you're going to go do journal entries, like in the following class, you will have to have a better understanding what is the debit and who gets the credits. And please don't confuse them, because then your negatives will not be negative. The proper negatives will be a positive, your positive will be negatives. As we see, even right now, that's what we're going step by step. We're going without journal entries, just writing checks and writing invoices. And hopefully people by the end of tonight will be all on the same page. Okay. How can I do it? I'm not sure what blank page do you want to see for Mr. Amos. Right now I am still in bank register. There are many registers. The registers are similar to, like I showed you, ledgers. So register is another type of ledger. And cash is the first part of ledger. And each bank has its own register in the ledger. Okay, my patron shows 500 from last week. I do all the steps. Why? How this way did today in this page? Okay. Try to type a little slower so I can understand what you're writing. I'm not sure what my patron shows 500 from last week. What is patron? I'm not sure what that is. So clarify. How do I pay sushi and soda? Again, you do Control Y. Control Y will give you the check. If this is your check and you already selected the signed check numbers, and you unchecked the print later, automatically you should have a 1004. If not, do it manually, and we'll learn another time again how to get it automatic. Right now, I'm not going to spend time on the automatic part of it. I changed the date for payment for rentals for the 19th, and the date stayed on the 19th. Well, today is the 18th, and the 19th is good. If you want today's date, you got to press T while you're in the date. And most importantly, if you're changing the transaction, you're editing it, you have to click on the next record. Like people asked, why is there another date? It's getting you ready for the next error. So it's getting you ready for the next entry. If I want this to be 5/18 by Office Rentals, so it's not enough. 1 second. Bill, okay, you're in bill payment. You have to double click on it because it wasn't written directly from the bank. When you wrote the checks, they were written, it shows check. That was written directly from the bank. But not the bill payments, you have to go double click on it. And here is you'll edit the date. If you want to put it to today, press T, or change it to 18, or just undo it. I'll leave it as it was before 5/19. Okay. Very good. How did all the entries get into this register? How did the entries get over from pay bills how to pay bills, get it over to the register. I explained to you in the first class how the manual systems, you have to have a journal. A journal is like a diary. They take everything that happened in the day. Then you take ledgers and you post over with filters. You take out everything which has to do with purchases and you put it in a purchasing ledger. Then you know how much money you spent on purchases. You make everything from sales in the sales ledger. Then you know how much you sold. But you still, that's not enough. You didn't know how much money you have. So you have how much payments you have in a separate ledger. And then you have the accounts payables, accounts receivables is difference. QuickBooks does all the postings for you. It connects journals with ledgers. There should be 3 unpaid bills right now. We'll just confirm that by checking. And the answer is yes, there are 3 bills. Utilities can wait. Until I get a shut-off notice, then they're going to provide service. So I might as well not defer payment and overdrawn as it is. And Ami Magazine, I didn't pay either. Okay, that's correct. Restore just is if you start editing and you change your mind, you don't want to edit it, you just press restore and it leaves it as it was. Super 13 Essence or vendors, that's correct. That's back at 922 questions. Any idea why it shows 1 by Super 13 for me? Here's the correct value. -1. I'm not sure. I wouldn't know why you have -1 by Super 13 because probably at +1. Maybe at the first time you had $77. Oh, -1, yeah. You had $77 overdraft. If you didn't pay the $76 to Essence, so your balance will be -1. So make sure you paid Essence as well. Debits and credits we did in the first 2 classes. We handed out slides. You can review the recordings. Request them for every wordy. Okay. Whoever has mistakes already at this point, please hold off till we do the reports. It's very important we do the reports for those who didn't make the mistakes, and for those who have mistakes, we could do it in the overtime. I'm available till 10:15. Hopefully we could finish showing at least a general report without getting into detail. I changed the date for the payment to rentals for the 19th, and the date stayed on the 19th. So what you got to do is press T, and it'll be on the current date. What page am I right now? Right now I'm still the vendors payments. I'll show them something. I'll pay vendors, pay bills. Chart of accounts that uses a recap and keep track. You can look at everything. The best place is reports. That is really the best place for now, which we're going to go to the card of Mamish. The register shows bill payment on 2 to 5 payments. 2 out of 5 payments is bill payment. We only made 4 payments, so I'm not sure what your question is. I mean, we made, step 5, we made technically 5 payments, but that's not showing up in the bank. 3 of them are part of credit cards. So the 2 payments in step 5 and 2 payments in step 6 is 4. So check out where you have 5 payments. Again, I know people are typing fast, but there's a lot of typos. There's no $44 rental. There's a $44 meal and entertainment for Super 13. Okay, last question. No. If you made the answer to office rentals doesn't show up, you can have a payment post dated 3 years. It's going to show up in your register on the screen because it's there. So there must have been something different the way you paid it. So I'll go into my bank register just for demonstration purposes. And I will go not 05, 06, 23. And I may check, see, automatically check number 1005 because we're not going to, we're going to get to a different time how to do automatically. And I wrote a check for $100 or $1,009 or whatever shows up automatically. And I put in 4 meals for a big bar mitzvah or promotion. It's more than 30 days in the future, or warn me about it. Fine, you can edit it. Once I do it, it's going to show up here 3 years from now, this transaction. So everything has to be here. I deleted this. I just deleted what I did. Okay. We did steps 5, 6, and 7. I'm 5 and 6. I hopefully everyone has in the bank negative $77 for now. And I'm going to do the reports shortly. We're going to do 2 more sales. Until now, we did invoicing by Control I, just create an invoice. We made a bill and then receive a payment. Just like in step 6, we made 2 payments to vendors without entering an invoice. We want to make a sale for 2 items without creating an invoice. So we're going to go to customers. Instead of create invoices, we enter sales receipts. Enter sales receipts. That's how we enter a sale. Again, you went to customers, and you go to enter sales receipts. And here you can choose to pay cash, credit card, but you're doing it in one combined entry. You are not creating an invoice and then selecting what receive a payment. You are creating the sale with the payment at the same time in one screen. We have here a customer. We got to create him. His name is Holzklapper. Beirish Holzklapper. He is a customer. Quick add a customer. Now, QuickBooks knows that he's a customer because we're creating an invoice and we're doing customers. That's what we're doing. Okay, sales without invoicing, and he's paying $75. Let's assume he paid with cash. Simplicity. What is it? Now, here it's in a different format. If you recall, when we created an invoice, first we had the quantity, which is the number. Then we had the item and description. When you create a receipt, first you put in the item, which is BK, bookkeeping, and the description, we're going to go quantities 2.5, which is 2.5 units. It's $75. Okay, QuickBooks does the math. I'm going to do save as new. I'm going to do 5 as Glick, and then I'm going to stop for you to catch up. And this should be fairly simple based on what you know already, how to fill the form. The only difference between the invoice and sales receipt is that this is much faster, which is if you have sales happening as you go along, why create an invoice? Click 5-ish. Incidentally, here it's giving you a new set of numbers. By invoices, you have invoice number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sale number 2. Technically, we're holding sale number 6 or 7 because we had 4 customers before, and now we're making 2 more. But it's 2 sets of numbers. One is a sale number that counts sales, and one is invoices, which counts accounts receivables. It's 2 different ledgers. One is sales on account, despite the fact, notwithstanding that we're going to receive a payment, and we did very quickly, their sales on account receivables. It's a separate ledger. QuickBooks has it in one program, but keeps track of 2 separate numbers. If 5-ish Glick pay with a check, here is you put check, and you go to the right over here, and you put in check number 7645, and if Chas v'Shalom check number 7645 will bounce, you can associate that with 5-ish Glick. He has $70 for HK. Now, interest I wrote here will bring 12/28/2019. No quantity specified, so we're going to assume it's 1. QuickBooks assume we don't write an amount, it's 1. By default, HK is 20. That's what it is. The price for HK is 20. When you put a quantity, what you're doing is you're putting a multiplication. You're putting 2, 3, 4, 5 times 20, and it adds up. You would not make a sales receipt for 0 because 0 times 20 is 0. So by default, quantity is 1. You could enter 1 or not enter 1. Now we are changing the date. You see the date 5/6/2023 is here because by default, QuickBooks remembers the last date. And I had shown an example in the register how even if I enter something 3 years hence, it's going to show up in my register. I'm doing this for 12/28/2019. There is a specific reason why I'm backdating it to last year, and I will show you shortly. So we have $20. Actually, the answer is HK. We paid 70. So in this case, we have to have 70. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out the quantity because I wrote $70. I'm just gonna write $70 by the amount. Now, if I would have done 5, QuickBooks changes the rate to 70. HK, as we know, is not $70. HK is $20 an hour, so it will be 3.5. If I would go back and enter HK, HK housekeeping 3.5 quantity. So it comes 245 only because we played around with the number 70. So let's go clear. Start from the beginning. If I do HK 3.5, I would end up with $70. In this case, it's possible I didn't have by the hour. We're not charging by the hour. I'm doing housekeeping. I'm charging flat rate on the job. It's a big mess. Don't bill me by the hour. It's $70, and that's what we're doing. HK $70. If I finish early, it's my gain. If I run overtime, it's my loss. So sometimes housekeeping can be on a flat rate basis. That's why also quantity will not be entered. But I want 12/28/19, 2019. Save and close. I'm going to wait for you to finish the entering these two sales. I'm going to check Q&A. Hopefully most people got through this. This page, how do we get it? Which page? I went to sales, enter sales receipts by customers. Again, Arena, please wait till the end of the class because I keep going back to the same question and I'll spend time with you at the end. Why is that on sales receipts the quantities after the item? That's probably part of the templates of sales receipts or invoices, but the same information is there. You have the quantity, you have the item, description. You might come up with a plausible explanation on your own, but for now, that's the way they designed it. Again, to go back to previous sales receipts, it's the same as going back to invoices. You just, customer center. Now we have 2 new customers. We have 5-ish Glick. He doesn't show up here. You know why it doesn't show up here? Because this fiscal year is not, you have to go all, and we'll see. 1 second here. I have 5-ish Glick. Doesn't owe us any money. 1 second. Okay, Holtzklapper paid us $75. That's good. Sales receipt. If I click the arrow, I'm number 1, so I can't go previous. But I could go to next, or I could go like in a circle. I go right to left, and I'll get so right now. It's saved this date. I gotta go back to today. I gotta fix my date. So my sales receipt for Holtzklapper will be today's date. So, even though sales number 1 was entered first, but because I went back and I changed sales numbers 2 to last year, the sales number 2 goes in reverse. You see him here, $70. Okay, so Holtzklapper is here from all transactions. 5-ish Glick should show up theoretically all sales transactions. Not from this fiscal year. Check from all. Let's see why he's not here. Last fiscal year. He's also not showing up. We'll have to look into why. Bearish is here, but 5-ish is not. We're going to look into this. But for what the main point is that their accounts are 0, and we should find them in the reports of their income. Okay, I see a few raised hands. Give me a second here. A bearish holds clap, we put in T for today's date. I didn't re-enter his invoices here. If I go into, someone's giving an answer to question sales receipt. Let's see. We have your invoice, HK, last year, I mean sales receipt, and maybe I have to pick a method of payment. Let's see. Pick check and 7645. Let's see if this is going to help us. 5-ish click still didn't show up, so we're gonna have to. We'll see why. We're gonna find out why it didn't show up over here. But for now, doesn't make a difference if Look paid check or cash. Doesn't make a difference for now. No, just pick any method. It's fine. Oh, okay. Let's see. I saved with no name. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Good. Thank you for. Sales receipt 1 is 70, there's no name. Good. Tamida Yisemi Kulam. Click, 5-ish click, and save. And that's again very good. So now he's here. Thank you very much, Mr. Rabin. So quick, we did receive the money, didn't know which customer to apply it to because they hadn't given a customer. So that's good. The reason why their account is zero is because they paid on the spot. There was no invoice and receipt payment. No, cash is not deposited. It's still in the undeposited funds. So in sales receipt, you could still make deposits. Got it. Thank you very much for all those looking out. Okay. Okay. We'll give 5 more minutes over here just to show the beginnings of a report and see where a customer is holding. We're working very hard, putting our company, giving consulting and bookkeeping and entering payments. Let's see what we have. Reports, company financial, profit and loss standard. Again, reports, profit and loss standard. Now, step 8 actually says review the entries for AR and AP. I did the results for AR and AP when I started the class, so I'm not going to do it a second time. I already showed you step 2, how to correct an invoice. We did that already as we went along. So now we're by step 9, P&L. What did I make this year so far? What is our income? Our net income is negative 791. Let us see. We're not doing too well, but everyone knows that when you start in business, you have to invest. So let's start with the income line. We have an income of 1710. Here's one more time for everyone who wants to double check the numbers. I recommend if you have it printed on the paper, write down on a paper so you can discuss what you have wrong. Double click. We are an accrual method now. See, it shows here accrual. That's the default because that's the proper way to do it according to accounting standards, but you can do cash. IRS accepts that. For small businesses, you see the difference? Did I make $12.95 or did I make $17.10? For now, let's leave it in accrual because this will show us everything. And cash is not going to show us everything. Let me double click 1710 for now. You see a Z means zoom. They go on sales. I don't have the zoom, but I go on the number part. In the right column, you have the zoom. So again, put the mouse on the number part and you'll be able to double click. And you'll be able to see how did I make my 1710. Now, this P&L, I'm gonna go close it again. Automatically brought me from this month to date. I really made a lot more than 1710. Let me go and click on all. What is my P&L historically? I made a whole $70 more. What is my $70? I'm sure you figured out. Last year, 5-ish Bill gave me extra $70. So it's not just this month, which everything happened this month. I'm going back to all, including last year, I have another $70. So we have here our people. and it'll show you, was it a sales receipt or an invoice? That tells you if it's accounts payable is the invoices, accounts receivable with the invoices, some paid, some unpaid. Sales receipts is you got the money on the spot. We have Glick historically from last year who gave us $70. We earned from Chaim Yankel, from Mrs. Cook. All the money we made, we did last time, and this time $17.80. That is our income. Doesn't make a difference. We didn't receive the money, but we earned the money. We accrued that money. $17.10. And again, this focus on this page. Do you have your numbers matching? Does your numbers match these? These are credits. Why is sales income credits? Because they are increasing our revenue. Revenue raises owner's equity, which all go up on the credit side. It's the zero debits. If there was a return, someone returned an item, then my sales will go down on the debit side. Right now we have the credits, we have sales receipts, invoices. Now we're going to close out. We're going to see so again, for practical purposes, QuickBooks doesn't really care how you got your money. IRS doesn't care how you got your money. It hit your bank, we'll assume it's income unless you tell us otherwise. So it rolls it into one fat number, sales income. Expenses, on the other hand, come with a breakdown. You have advertising and promotion. Remember, $250, it's Ami Magazine, right? Very good. We have meals and entertainment. Now, this should be familiar from class number 2 or 3 where I started running through the reports. It might have been a little premature then, but now you should hopefully have an aha moment and you realize what we were doing. We have meals and entertainment, $120. If you add the 76 from Essence and Sushi, 44. Yes, it's here, Essence and Super. You have a breakdown, 76 and 44. Why is it debits? Because expenses increase on the debit side, $120. I'm getting the point on debits and credits because next class we will do a couple of journal entries. So we'll know who goes where. Office supplies, that was Nest, if you recall, $177. Nest paper, $177. Rent expense, office rentals, $1,500. Electric, Con Edison, $328. And gas, $126. As you see, once we entered everything, you have information. You know it was a bill. It's a bill that you received in 513. The name was National Grid. It's accounts payable because you got an invoice and it's 126. However, if you went to meals and entertainment, you double clicked on that one. If I double click on meals and entertainment, it doesn't show up as a bill, it's a check because it was written straight out. So right now we have our income at $17.80. We went through all our expenses except utility, including utilities. So we made electric and gas a subdivision if you want to further identify what your utilities are. So if we have 2501 of expenses and 1780 of income, what is our net income? Net income is what is again, income or gross profit is after. We're going to learn later on. Total income is money coming in. Gross profit is money after paying for the cost of the goods. In the service business, there's no cost of goods, so gross profit is the same as the original income. Expenses, you have advertising and meals and rent. And the net income is what's left after paying the expenses, 721. This is our P&L. If I'll go to cash, income drops down because we only show the money received. Only Glick, Yankel, Cohen, and Almoni, but we don't have all the money. Robert Cohen was $600, but he only paid us $400. Yankel was $225, he only paid us $150. Mrs. Cook didn't pay us, and she's not here. But at the same time, my net income, even though I dropped my income, my net income is only negative $432 because my expenses are not $2,500. It's only $1,797. Why? Because I only paid cash to meals and rent expense. Whatever's sitting on my credit card is not cash. Whatever is on account in AMI magazine is not an expense. So that is why I only have a negative 432, despite the fact that my income went down. Now you're going to ask me, so where does those entries go? It doesn't disappear into thin air, right? If I didn't pay the bills, right, I'm only showing my P&L. P&L shows me what I earned and what I paid. Where do I see what I owe? Where do I see my bank? For that, you need what's called balance sheet. And when I show you balance sheet, we're going to conclude the instructional part of the course. And then you will be able to replicate the reports or ask questions. Balance sheet, here, balance sheet is very exciting. Why is it exciting? Because as of 5/18, they think I have 1423 in the bank. And in fact, I do. You know why? Because I didn't yet pay my rent. My rent is tomorrow. If I go plus, which just adds 1 day, as I showed you in the shortcuts, and I press tab, which gets me, all of a sudden I'm negative. Because tomorrow, a big check of $1,500 is hitting the bank. I still have $415 to collect from people. Who do I collect it from? Double click. I could still collect, if I want to, see, go double click again. Actually, you have to show a period. From the date of 5/19 itself, there's nothing to collect from. I go back M, I press the beginning of the month. This part of the class we're going to review next time, but for those who want to review, you look through the month, you'll see who do we have to receive from. We receive the debits of account receivable, the invoices were 1635. We received already, so we credited the accounts receivables 1220, and that's what we deposited at the bank, 1220, and therefore what's left to collect is 415. Okay, if you didn't get this, we're going to do this again next class. Step 9 we'll do again. Accounts payable, I still owe. Again, not from today, but if I collect the whole month, office rentals is today, $1,500. But really, I have a whole list. I had 3756 of accounts payables. Many, many expenses we had. Debits went up a lot. So actually, sorry, again, the liabilities go up on the right side. We had 4460, if you remember, in all our accounts payable. After we put originally, we paid down this. We paid down using the credit card from Shimon, from a company, from the bank. So we paid on 3756, so our accounts payable is 704. That's it for this. And we see here what the balance is on Citi card, Shimon card, these two cards. We see members equity. We're gonna stop over here, and we're gonna review this next class. Thank you very much for joining. We're gonna go through remaining questions. How do we get to the P&L page? We go to reports. All the reports, there are about 30 types of reports or more. They come down, and each one has subdirectories, maybe in 50 reports if you went through them all one by one. The standards that we use, P&L standard, balance sheet standard. That's what we're going to focus on for now. And we're going to do this again, step 9, next class. The goal of today, hopefully we have steps 1 through 8 completely entered. All sales, all invoices, whether it's with the invoice or sales receipt, bill or purchase. Glick's customers information was entered because I had not written the, again, Mr. Korn. I'm not sure, where did you see Glick's customer information empty? He paid it off his bill. Maybe you cleared him out like I did, but I was alerted to the fact that we have to, he was sales receipt number 2. 1780, if you're on accrual basis, that is your income for all, not just this year, but for all. Again, I'm going to go to, I'll show you in window P&L, P&L, do again slow motion, window, P&L, all my income from all time is 1780. If you double click, it'll give you the breakdown. 5 is going to go 70, etc. Why would you want to look at cash account that doesn't give a true picture of a financial situation? Many businesses prefer to use cash because they don't want to pay taxes on money they did not receive yet. They're going to report to the IRS they earned more money. Based on that, because on the accrual basis, they have to pay taxes based on the income they earned. The IRS allows you, if you're a small enough company, under $25 million, under $5 million in receipts generally per year, to be cash basis. Is it possible to have a private session and get caught up? Well, stick around till 10:05 to clear out these questions, and we'll see who left is still here. Then again, like I always say, accrual basis is not such a bad idea, in essence, because you can accrue expenses even though you didn't pay them. So it's a balance, but you cannot change back and forth every year. You have to decide what type of industry you are. Are you likely to have more expenses paid out by cash at a given time than the income? Then you would want to have a cash basis because you have less income and more expenses. But it's a matter of timing, because eventually you're going to run out of expenses and you're going to get your income in. So it's going to catch up. Hopefully, you're not going to forever have more expenses than income, because then you might as well close down your shop. Sub step 3 from 9. Well, for now, you can get yourself some sushi from Super 13. But I wanted to show you something actually afterwards. What would happen? Okay, for now, you don't do step 3 of 9. I was going to test it with a journal entry, but for now, balance sheet, you go to the second section, reports, which is company financial, and that itself is the second section. Reports is one of the deepest parts of QuickBooks, how to pull everything together, and you have to understand, once you pick a report, how to customize the report or to comment on the report. In this course, we're not probably going to go to every type of report in detail. We're going to get the basics of how to do reports, and you can play around with it on your own later on. But suffice it to say that we have here the balance sheet. Balance sheet gives you a snapshot of today, what you were today. P&L is the whole year or the whole period. As of today, we have $14.23 in the bank. As of tomorrow, you're overdrawn. Then again, perhaps you mailed out the check and you bought yourself some more time. So theoretically, you're overdrawn in QuickBooks, but the bank is not overdrawn because the check is in the mail, as the cliche goes. And you withhold the check until you make a deposit to cover it. How do you get a balance sheet? So we took care of that. Exactly, that's why you had a -1. All you got to do, whatever you did for sushi, you go to a vendor center, you enter bill. I'm sorry, we're paying, so we're vendors, and we're no, sorry, I thought we do write check. You could get Control W. You're writing a check for, choose the vendor, is paid to the order of his essence, and when you have essence and you pick 76 and pick meals, the extra $76 will bring you from -1 to -77. I already did the math for you earlier. We'll get back to the rent in a second. Okay. Forget if you want to know more credit, debit, equity, liability, please now at this point, after a few classes and getting, you're a little bit, your feet wet with it, it will be appropriate time to review the slides one more time. I give it to you in 3 formats. If you need the slides again, send me an email and I'll forward you the slides. Or if one person sends me an email, and I'll just send everyone again the slides. And that's how we'll compare it with the balance sheet. Negative 77 is the correct number as of today, Mr. Fire Tablet. So that's that. Okay. Going rent there. Okay. On P&L, the meal expenses aren't showing up, but I wrote the checks. You have to check what is your period of the P&L. For now, just go up to all and select all, and it will show up. Can you partially pay a bill and pay the balance? That's exactly what we did when we paid office. Actually, we didn't do it this time. We did, when we received payments, we served partial, right? We entered the amount we're paying. You could do the same exact thing. I started showing you that instead of just clicking at random the vendor, you could go over to the right. Here we have vendor, pay bill. I could, on the Canedison, automatically check it and it's 328, or I change it to 128 and I want to keep a balance of 200 unpaid. I can do that, not a problem. Q&A back here again. Okay, so okay, this QuickBooks file we started last class, the We Do It All. So the recording of last class was missing a few minutes, but I believe by now you should have an understanding how to review that class. The slides, I believe it was recorded. Female or wordy, you can send you a link. Or for the first class. Yes, Essence is today's date. Okay, this is right, says profits and loss. Again, I'm going to show you my profit and loss under the all period and under the accrual. Under all and under accrual, you should be able to have these numbers. Your net income is negative 721. And if you have a further question, you could post. Again, I didn't have negative 77 because I had today's date. Again, the register, the bank, it was the controller, the Chase. The bank tells me what I have. I don't need a report for that. Even if I was post-dated 3 years, it tells me if everything processes, I'm negative 77. My balance sheet gives me my balance of the bank at a given day. So today, as of this morning, as a 518, before I did anything, and I made the first deposit, my balance sheet was 1720. But when you do a day, it takes the whole day in totality. So you could either be 500 or it could be negative 77. Everything happened, actually, it could either 500 or 1423. That's the difference of yesterday and today. The next stop is 77. You cannot break up a balance sheet report to be 1543 or 1467 because everything happened the same day. So if I would go to balance sheet and see, I am negative 77 because I picked as of tomorrow. And the plus, if I pick as of today, I would be 1423. And that jives with the 1423 as of today in the register. If I would pick as of negative 3 times, I'll get to 516. I have Chase 500, and that also fits with the register. So again, the register gives me a running balance of my account, and it gives me an idea where I'm holding at the bottom ending balance tells me the total. Balance sheet is a snapshot as of a specific date. It says here, as of. It's always as of a specific day. That is what a balance sheet purpose is, to give a picture. What is the customer worth, the company worth today or tomorrow or the next day? Bring it all together. P&L is earnings. And there's a big difference between earnings, because maybe this year I only made negative 721 because of the coronavirus. But if I made $2 million last year, so my balance, my earnings this year might be only 721, but I'll have a ballooned bank account with assets worth $2 million. So you need both reports to get a clear picture of the company. Okay, subcategories is not necessary for today. If GLIC is entered as check, does it matter? Yeah, it's a big, well, I'm not sure what you mean by check. You mean that you received a check or wrote a check? If you wrote a check, it's a big problem, because GLIC is a customer who you made a sale to, not someone that you wrote a check to purchase. But if GLIC is a check, that's what it's actually supposed to be. I put in GLIC as a check. Check, I think it's 7465 or whatever you put in. Okay, I think Mr. Corn and Arena are still around. I'll get to your questions when I finish the last here. Let me first, how did you pay off this rent? Okay, one second. So, anonymous attendee at 956 says, how do you pay office rent? I have it incorrectly. The only thing I can tell you is if you double click on rent expense, because I'm not sure how you have it. I know you're saying it's incorrect. Tell me, you have to know what you have. Double click on, let's say, rent expense. And you see it was paid accounts payable, because we already had originally an invoice from last week. We paid it with, actually this is a bill, rent expense. So an accrual basis, the expense shows up because we made the bill. When we paid, it didn't make a difference. If I go on the cash basis, so the expense showed up because I paid it. If I double click on it, okay, let's, I'll show you, I made the date 5/13. Let's go to vendor center, office rentals, and we paid it with check 1002. That's how we did it. You can, whether we paid it from, the way we paid it is we went to vendors, we went to pay bills, and office rentals were showing up with an invoice, and we clicked on it. We went down to check, and we picked Chase, and we used the $1,500. If you have a further question, you have to ask. Okay. That was the 956 question. 5-ish GLIC. So, okay. See, 5 GLIC sales receipt. Again, let's go to customer center to answer everyone who wants to know about the 5-ish GLIC. Go to customer center. 5-ish GLIC should be here. Sales receipt number 2, $70. So, one way to get into the sales receipt is to go to Barish Holtzklapper, which was the sales receipt. Double click on him, and then you go reverse. And if you have a receipt without a name, which I one time had, make sure you put in 5-ish GLIC. If you don't have a sales receipt number 2, now would be the time to do it. Sales receipt number 1 was bookkeeping. $75 from Barry Schultz Clapper. And then there's a sales receipt 2, which I backdated to 12, where's this here? So you have to go in reverse because it's an earlier date, 12/28/2019, the sales receipt 2. If you go forward and reverse and you don't find the sales receipt 2, you should enter it now as 5-ish Glick. You have all the information, Glick 5-ish, 12/28, sale number 2, and you're good to go. And that was answered live. You might have it there and it doesn't show up. So the way to double check is you go to all transactions, filter by all the dates, not today because it's from last year. This week won't help you. Not this year. You go to last year, or the quickest way, just go all, and that's it. Still don't save. Profit report, I have expense, computer, internet expense 1,200. What did I do wrong? One second here. Let's go again to P&L. P&L. Office supplies for $200. Let's see what we have here. We go to vendors, and we have Office Depot was $1,200. Okay, Office Depot. That's what did we buy from Office Depot? We bought furniture and equipment. The answer is furniture and equipment as an asset. We didn't put the computer as an expense. We put it as a furniture and equipment. We'll get to that in next class. What are expenses and what are assets? So that's probably what you have the number wrong. Not in the payment, but as far as expenses. That's anonymous attendee at 10:07. Check number. Don't worry about the check number right now. That's fine. Enter without invoicing is if it's a check, you go Control W and just write out a check. If it's a sales receipt, you go to customers and enter sales receipt. That's in the third section. Number 6, there is no invoice. Again, we did, if your sales receipt, we did the check. Okay, I chose Bayrish for cash and Click for check. For purposes of a report, it's not really gonna make much of a difference. That's the answer to Ms. Goldman. Most of my expenses were paid, but it's still showing up on my expenses on P&L. Yeah, well, if you paid it, it's still an expense. It belongs in the P&L. If you paid your expenses and it showed up on your balance sheet as accounts payable, that would be a problem. I did all the 4% of those. Okay, so let's see who we have left now. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now. The official instruction with the Q&A is over. If 1 or 2 people want to stay on to ask a question. I'll see if I can help them quickly. Otherwise, we'll have to figure out how to deal with it. Give me a second. So, let's see here. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to Zoom. There we go. Okay, so we stopped the recording.